Producers. Sonnox just came out with the vocal Swiss Army knife of vocal processing plugins called Voca, and here are 5 reasons you need to check it out. Auto input volume transparently makes volume across song sections and phrases consistent without requiring any volume automation. The compression section stabilizes dynamics between and within words, enhancing the movement and groove of your vocals and the clarity of consonants. The saturation section adds density and complexity to your vocals, pushing them back in the mix or pulling them forward depending on how you want to focus them. Soften automatically reshapes your vocal tone, reducing harshness and sibilance, which of course can cause your vocals to stand out too much on certain words. And finally, it's a new Sonnox plugin, so you know we're gonna check it out. It's all coming up, so let's get into it. All right, so this is Voca here on the screen. I love that it is as simple to use as it is powerful. We're gonna start from the left and work our way over to the right. The first thing here is kind of hidden. It's this input function with the auto. What this does is actually rides the vocal. So if I play the vocal here.
Whenever I'm alone with you.
You can see the automation here that's happening behind the scenes. It will tell you that it's either pulling the gain down or pushing it up in certain parts of words and phrases. Now, if I go to a stronger part of the song, like down here towards the end, we should see a lot more reduction as opposed to the quieter parts where we might get some going into the positive range values.
However far away, I will always love you.
So that's a powerful part as opposed to this.
You make me feel like I am home again.
So you see where she's trailing off there on again, it's actually pushing the volume to make things more consistent over time, which is absolutely fantastic. So you can obviously turn auto off if you wanted to, and there's also this optimize button. This button actually adjusts the internal headroom of the compression and saturation sections so that you don't need to readjust them after you've optimized. From there, we've got a pretty standard output gain slider or knob here, and then we've got the compression section, which is actually 2 different effects. There's stabilize and squish. So the way this works is the more you go up in stabilize, the more compression you're gonna have, and the more you go over to squish, the faster the compression will take place. So let's go ahead and mess around with it and see if we can't hear what's going on.
You make me feel like I am home again. Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am one again.
Let me go ahead and bypass the saturation. Both of those can be bypassed, by the way. And let's go over to a beefier part of the track and see if we can't hear some differences there as well.
However far away, I will always love you. However long I stay.
Cool, let's move on to saturation. And here we have saturate and focus. So saturation is going to obviously add more saturation to the vocal. And the more you increase that, the more dense, rich, and harmonic content will be added to the vocal. And then we have focus, which actually allows you to refocus your vocals. So towards the left, you'll be pushing them back, sort of sonically. And then to the right, you'll be bringing them closer, adding the more airy sort of effect to your vocal.
However far away, I will always love you. However far away, I will always love you.
And one thing that I really like about this plugin is it's sort of an XY pad as opposed to separate parameters. So the idea is to get a healthy balance of each one of the 2 effects in the 2 main effect sections, instead of trying to do each one at a time, because they work together, right?
However far away, I will always love you. However long I stay, I will always love you. Whatever words I say.
And then finally, inside of this plugin, we have the soften parameter, which actually not only reduces sibilance, but other harshness inside of the vocal itself, which I think is, again, really, really cool because you don't need 2 parameters for it. You're just saying, hey, find resonance peaks, find anything that sounds kind of harsh, including those S sounds, and just reduce them for me. And then you have how much you want it to be done. And of course, you can bypass over here as well. So let's see if we can't find a really harsh S somewhere.
I will always love you.
So let's see what soften does to that at 100%.
I will always love you.
It's definitely reduced it a lot. Now, I actually have a de-esser on my vocal chain ahead of it. Let's see what happens if I remove that. And this is what it sounds like without it.
I will always love you.
So there, that S is definitely way, way too harsh. Let's pull up the soften here.
I will always love you.
And there's just one last really, really cool feature to talk about, and that is the record mode, which is down here in the bottom. And when you turn that on, it actually reduces latency to 0. So you can actually monitor your vocal performance using Voca effects in real time. So instead of getting a direct in of your vocal, which, you know, I mean, it's always nice to hear what it's gonna sound like, right? You can do that now with this plugin, which I think is absolutely phenomenal when you're working with a vocalist who you really want to make feel comfortable and say, hey, this is what it's going to sound like, or this is closer to what it's going to sound like in the end, which will just make them more comfortable and confident to deliver a great vocal performance. So anyway, as usual, that's a very quick overview of Voca from Sonnox. Just came out. Click the link in the video description if you want to check it out. And as usual, I'm Joshua Casper. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next video.